The rain came down in hard, cold sheets that slapped against the open fields of Dakota territory. The wind pushed the storm sideways, turning every drop into a needle. People were running for cover. Horses were pulled toward barns. Doors slammed. Lanterns shook in the gusts. No one wanted to be out in weather like this. No one except Lily Hart. And she was out here because she had no choice. She held the reins tight as her wagon wheels sank deeper into the mud. Her hands were shaking from the cold. Her dress clung to her skin. Her boots were soaked through. Every breath came out in a shiver. She was already wet before the real trouble started. The road washed out as she crossed the rise overlooking Red Creek Ranch. The wagon tilted. The wheels lost their grip. One heavy jolt sent Lily forward so hard, she almost flew from the seat. Yet she gasped and grabbed the reins again, fighting to keep control. The next bump was worse. The front axle cracked, snapping loud enough to echo through the storm. The wagon dropped on one side and dragged her down with it. The mud swallowed the wheels until the wagon sat stuck and useless. Lightning flashed across the sky, showing the land in a single white blaze. Red Creek Ranch lay just ahead, a large barn and house sitting steady in the storm. Lily knew the name well. Everyone did. It belonged to Cole Matthews, a rancher known for two things: building everything with his bare hands and wanting nothing to do with anyone else's problems. She did not want to meet him like this, drenched and desperate, but the storm left no room for courage. She wrapped her arms around herself and stepped down. The mud was cold, the rain heavier now. Her bonnet blew off into the grass and vanished. She staggered toward the ranch, each step slower than the last. Her feet sank deep. Her dress grew heavier. By the time she reached the barn doors, she could barely lift her hands. She knocked softly, then louder, hoping for any sign of life. A moment passed with only the sound of rain. She knocked again. This time, a voice answered from behind the door, sharp and cautious. "Who's out there?" The door opened just enough for light to spill out. Cole Matthews stood inside, tall, with broad shoulders and a strong frame shaped by years of ranch work. His face carried the rough lines of the land. His dark hair dripped from the rain he must have walked through minutes earlier. His brown eyes settled on her, with a look that was not cruel, but guarded, like a man who had learned to expect trouble. Lily opened her mouth to speak, but her voice trembled. "My wagon broke. The storm. I need help." Cole stepped closer, and his eyes took in the shaking hands, the soaked dress, the mud up to her knees. He pulled the barn door wider. "Get inside before you freeze." The warm air from the horse's breath wrapped around her like a blanket as she stepped in. She shivered hard, and Cole watched her with the uneasy focus of a man who did not like surprises, but would not leave someone outside to suffer. "You're dripping everywhere," he said, not harshly, but like it was the first thing he could think to say. She lowered her head. "I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go." "You made the right choice," he said, and his tone softened. He walked to a shelf, grabbed a wool blanket, and placed it around her shoulders. Lily tried to thank him, but the cold knocked the words away. Cole looked her over again. The shivering had not stopped. "You're getting yourself all wet and sick out there. Sit by the stove." She obeyed, moving slowly to the cast-iron stove glowing warm in the corner of the barn. Cole added a log, making the fire swell. The light flickered across her face, showing how pale she had become. Her hair clung to her cheeks. Her dress made a soft dripping sound as water pooled on the floor. "You're gonna have to get out of those wet clothes, or the cold will bite deeper," he said, his voice steady, but his eyes careful. "I'll find you something dry to borrow. Don't worry, I'm not that kind of man." Lily nodded, her breath still uneven. She could not stop shaking. She had planned to reach the town by nightfall. She had planned to stay invisible, yet to avoid drawing attention. Now she was trapped in a stranger's barn, with a storm too strong to escape, and a man whose kindness felt warmer than the fire itself. Cole returned with a clean shirt and trousers, folded neatly. "It's all I've got that'll fit. I'll step outside so you can change." But when he opened the barn door, a blast of wind and rain slammed against him. The storm had worsened. The cold rushed inside like a wave. He shut the door again. "Never mind. I'm not stepping out in that. I'll turn around. That storm will knock a man flat." He turned his back to her like a wall. Lily's heart beat fast. Her hands trembled not from cold now, but from the strange new awareness of the moment. She had never depended on a man before, never trusted one in a storm, never felt this kind of safety mixed with fear. As she slipped out of her soaked dress, her voice came out softer than she intended. "Thank you. I didn't expect anyone to help me tonight." Cole kept his eyes forward. "Out here, we help when help is needed, no matter who shows up at our door." The fire cracked. The storm roared outside. And Lily Hart realized her life had just turned onto a road she did not see coming. The storm grew louder through the night, throwing wind against the barn walls, hard enough to make the beams groan. Lily sat close to the stove, wrapped in Cole's dry shirt and trousers. The clothes hung loose on her small frame, but they were warm enough to stop the shivering that had rattled her bones when she first stepped inside. Cole stayed a few steps away, arms crossed, watching the storm through a narrow window. His posture was steady, but his jaw was set tight. He looked like a man who carried weight on his shoulders, even when the sky was clear. Lily studied him quietly. She had heard stories of the rancher who lived alone after losing nearly everything. She never knew how much was true, but standing in his barn now, she could feel it. The kind of silence that came from a man who had stopped expecting the world to be kind. The kind of stillness that only came after heartbreak. Cole finally spoke without turning around. "You planning to make it to town tonight?" "I was," Lily said. "I thought I could beat the weather. I was wrong." "Storm like this doesn't care who it catches," he said. "You're lucky your wagon didn't roll." She lowered her eyes. "I know." Cole walked to the stove, grabbed another blanket from the stack, and handed it to her. "You warm enough now?" She nodded, though her voice betrayed a hint of embarrassment. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Cole shook his head. "You didn't. Trouble finds its own way out here. You just got caught in the middle of it." For a moment, the barn fell quiet, except for the storm and the slow breathing of the horses. Lily felt something inside her loosen, a sense of safety she had not felt in months. She had been on the road too long, moving from place to place, always trying to stay one step ahead of the past she never talked about. Tonight, for the first time, she was forced to stop running. Cole noticed the faraway look in her eyes. "You're hiding something," he said softly. "But I'm not asking what, not unless you want to tell it." His words were gentle, but they hit deeper than she expected. She looked at the fire. People don't usually offer kindness without wanting something." Cole leaned against a post. "People do all kinds of things. I'm not one of them." Another strike of lightning lit the barn. Lily flinched, pulling the blanket tighter around her. Cole moved closer, stopping beside the stove. His voice softened. "You're safe here. The storm can't get you." Her eyes lifted to his, and for a brief second, the world outside faded. But safety was a fragile thing. A sudden loud knock hit the barn door. Cole straightened instantly, every muscle tight. Lily's heart jumped into her throat. The knock came again, harder this time. Cole stepped forward without fear. "Stay here." He opened the door a crack. Wind and rain tore through the gap, but the voice outside was stronger. "Matthews, you got someone in there with you?" Lily froze. She recognized that voice, her breath caught. Cole narrowed his eyes. "What do you want, Carter?" A tall man stood just outside the door, drenched, angry, gripping a lantern. Frank Carter, a ranch hand known for drinking, gambling, and starting fights he couldn't finish. His glare pushed past Cole, looking for Lily. "I saw tracks leading this way," Carter said. "A lady traveling alone owes me money for a job she promised. I aim to collect." Cole stepped fully into the doorway, blocking Carter's view. "There's no one here who owes you anything." Carter sneered. "You calling me a liar? I'm calling you dangerous in a storm. Go home before you get yourself killed." Carter leaned forward. "If Lily Hart's in there, she's coming with me." Lily gasped. Cole heard it. Carter heard it too. Carter pushed the door harder. Cole didn't move, not an inch. Instead, he pushed back with a force that made Carter stumble in the mud. "She's not yours," Cole said, voice low. "She doesn't belong to you, and she's not leaving with you." The storm rumbled, as if agreeing. Carter wiped mud from his coat. "You're making a mistake, Matthews." Cole closed the door in his face and dropped the latch into place. He stood there for a moment, breathing slow and steady, and then turned to Lily. "You know him?" Lily swallowed hard. "He isn't someone I owe anything to. He's someone I've been trying to get away from." Cole didn't ask more. He didn't need to. "You'll stay here until the storm passes," he said, "and you won't face him alone." Lily felt her chest tighten. No one had ever said something like that to her, not in years. "Why are you helping me?" she whispered. He held her gaze. "Because someone should have helped you a long time ago." A long silence filled the barn. Not heavy, not tense, just full of something new forming between them, warm and unspoken. The storm outside continued to roar, but inside Red Creek Ranch, a different kind of warmth began to grow. Slow, steady, impossible to ignore. The storm carried on through the night, but inside the barn the air felt warmer than before. Lily sat close to the stove, holding the blanket around her shoulders. Cole walked the barn aisle, checking on the horses, giving each one a quiet pat to keep them calm. Every few moments he looked back at her, as if making sure she was still safe. Lily noticed it every time. She felt something she had not felt in a long while. Worthiness. Safety. A strange peace she did not quite know how to accept. When Cole finished with the horses, he dragged over a heavy wooden chest and sat beside her. The fire lit his face in a soft glow. He looked strong, but tired in a way only lonely people looked. "You should rest," Cole said. "It's been a long day." "I don't think I can sleep," Lily whispered. "Not after Carter found me." Cole nodded once. "He won't be back tonight. The storm is too strong." "But tomorrow?" she asked. Cole leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Tomorrow, I'll deal with him if I have to. You don't owe that man anything, and you don't run anymore." Lily stared at him. No one had ever said words like that for her. Every place she had worked, every man she had trusted, every promise she had heard, had fallen apart. She had learned to carry pain quietly, because no one ever cared enough to ask if she was hurting. Yet this man, this rancher who lived alone, who barely spoke, was offering protection without asking for anything in return. "You don't even know me," Lily said. Cole looked at her with steady, honest eyes. "I know enough. I know you're scared. I know someone treated you in a way no one deserves. And I know you didn't ask to end up in this storm." Her throat tightened. She had been holding her story inside for too long, and tonight the weight was too heavy. "I left Kansas in a hurry," she said quietly. "Carter wasn't the only problem. He ran with a group of men who tried to force work on women who couldn't fight back. When I refused, he threatened to ruin me. I ran before he could." Cole's jaw tightened, not with anger at her, but at the world that had thrown her into danger. "You did the right thing," Cole said. "You saved yourself." She hugged the blanket closer. "I didn't save anything. I've been cold and hungry and alone for months." "Not tonight," Cole said softly. "Not anymore." The storm seemed to pause outside as if listening. Lily looked into the fire, and her voice broke. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Cole hesitated. Then he said something she never expected. "My wife passed 2 winters ago. I didn't think I had anything left to give. But I see someone in front of me who needs help, and I won't turn my back. Not again." Lily's breath caught. She understood now. 2 broken lives, sitting on opposite sides of a fire, finding warmth where they least expected it. A long silence filled the barn, gentle and soft, the kind that didn't need words to explain itself. Cole stood and walked to a nearby cabinet. He pulled out a dry wool coat and brought it to her. "Put this on," he said. "You're warming up, but the night is still long." She slid her arms into the sleeves, and the coat wrapped her like a shield. Cole reached out, adjusting the collar to keep the heat in. His hands were warm, her cheeks flushed without meaning to. "You're getting me all warm now," she said with a nervous laugh. Cole smiled for the first time. A real one. Good, and that was the idea. The storm howled again, but neither of them flinched. Just then, a noise echoed outside, the crunch of boots in wet earth. Cole froze. Lily's eyes widened. Another knock hit the barn door, not wild like before. Slow, intentional. Cole moved to the door, hand hovering near a wooden bar used for locking it. "Stay behind me," he whispered. He cracked the door open, ready to defend her. But it wasn't Carter. Sheriff Daniels stood outside, coat soaked, hat dripping, lantern glowing. "Evening, Cole," the sheriff said. "Storm's knocking fences down. Figured you'd be keeping stock inside." Cole breathed out in relief. "Thought you were someone else." The sheriff nodded. "I saw Carter riding toward town earlier, drunk and shouting your name. You got reason to worry?" Cole glanced at Lily, but she stood small and scared behind him. "She's the reason," Cole said. The sheriff looked at Lily gently. "You all right, ma'am?" She nodded. "I think I am now." The sheriff tipped his hat. "If Carter gives you trouble, Cole, you let me know. Men like him don't get free run of this county." When the sheriff rode off, Cole shut the door and turned back to her. "You're safe," he said again. "Now and tomorrow." Lily stepped closer, her voice soft but sure. "I don't know where I'm going next. I don't know what comes after this storm." Cole held her gaze, warm and steady. "You don't have to know tonight," he said. "For now, just stay here. Rest. Heal. Let the storm pass." Her eyes softened. "You're warming me up in more ways than one." He smiled again, slow and gentle. "Good. Maybe you're warming something in me, too." They sat beside the stove as the storm quieted outside. 2 lost souls, finding shelter in the same place. The night turned calm. The fire glowed steady. And for the first time in a long time, Lily Hart did not feel alone.